The Sound of Her Own Name by Dr. Darryl D. Diptee. In the shanty town of Navi Basta, the gutters carried more stories than the news. Stories of girls who tried to climb and fell, families torn by debt, fathers who drank hope by the bottle. Aasha was born into one of those stories, a family of 5 sharing one rented room beside the waste canal. Her father sold discarded batteries on the roadside. Her mother washed the clothes of people who didn't know her name. There was no room for dreams of ambition in that house, only necessity and survival. Aasha was the middle child, sharp-eyed, quiet-mouthed. She learned to measure her hunger by the sound of her baby brother's crying. She'd often go without dinner to make sure he did not. Her mother believed in silence. Her father believed in fate. Her older sister believed in marriage as the only way out. Aasha believed in none of those things, but didn't yet have the words to describe what she felt. One day, while scavenging behind her uncle's tea stall, Aasha unearthed a half-buried tablet. Its screen was cracked like a spider web, the power button gummy with grime. But it worked, barely. Each night she charged it on the communal solar patch, coaxing the battery to life just enough for 43 minutes of flickering screen time. In the silence of the alley, she found a lone Wi-Fi signal, just a single bar, from one of the posh hotels across the canal. Its name glowed like a beacon, Dream Suite. 401. It became her secret code word, her portal, her prayer. A name that didn't belong to her world, but somehow still belonged to her. It was the title an alternate universe where girls like her got to dream, and sometimes forget reality, if even only for a few minutes each day. At first, she used it to escape. Cartoons, music videos, laughing at rich girls on YouTube. Then one evening, in the flicker of orange power saver mode, she clicked on a thumbnail titled, "Why You Feel Stuck: The Psychology of Learned Helplessness." The speaker talked about dogs shocked in cages, how they eventually stopped trying to escape, even when the door was left wide open. She felt her chest tighten, not because she pitied the dogs in the cages, but because she understood them. That night she couldn't sleep, not from fear, but from a deep, unsettling recognition of what her life had truly meant up to that point. For the first time, she understood why so many who lived beside the waste canal never tried to leave. It wasn't lack of desire, but a belief that escape was impossible. The video showed her that her current life wasn't fixed by fate, but forged by repeated powerlessness. Like the dog who stopped trying to escape even when the cage was open, staying in the slums was a kind of training, and training could be unlearned. The next day, she did something unthinkable. She walked into the government library barefoot, dirty, sweaty, and said in a trembling but clear voice, "I want to learn how to read and write. Can you help me?" The librarian looked up slowly, tilting her glasses from the bridge of her nose. She didn't flinch at the dirt on Aasha's face or the frayed hem of her salwar. What caught her off guard was the certainty in Aasha's voice. "What is your name, young lady?" Another pause. Not because she forgot it, but because she'd never been asked to speak it with intention before. "Aasha," she said, and for the first time, it did not feel like an apology. The years that followed did not arrive with triumphant music. They came clothed in quiet discomfort, days when her period arrived without pads, just wadded up scraps of cloth and the sting of shame. Her back ached from hauling old car batteries alongside her father during the day, only to curl her spine again at night, hunching over tattered textbooks under the brittle glow of a street light. And all the while, an unexpected ache grew inside her. The deeper she read, the more she realized how little she knew, and how far there was still to go. Her peers from the neighborhood laughed. "You think one of us is going to be rich? She's wasting time on books. Just marry an electrician and be done. You're too old already. You'll never be one of them. Some of them meant well, most didn't. But all of them were trapped, like the dogs, like she would have been. She got a small partial scholarship. By then, she was so accustomed to surviving on scraps that even that modest amount felt like a fortune. More importantly, it was just enough, not to thrive, but to leave. And the pain of leaving broke her. Her mother wept. Her siblings clung to her kurta like they were trying to anchor her to the ground. Her father said nothing, but his silence was the heaviest of all, thick with quiet judgment and unspoken hurt. Just before she boarded the bus, clutching a small bag filled with second-hand books and 2 changes of clothes, she had one last exchange with him. "You think you're better than us?" he asked, eyes fixed on a crack in the pavement. "No, Papa," she whispered, voice shaking. "I just think differently." But the guilt lingered, and guilt, when you're poor and chasing a better life that forces you to leave others behind, becomes a constant companion. It doesn't shout, it hums quietly in the background of every new success. Because when survival becomes individual, every achievement can feel like betrayal of the people you love. 15 years passed, then 20. She didn't become a millionaire. She didn't invent anything or win prizes. But she became free. She earned a PhD in behavioral science, worked for a nonprofit that restructured education access for girls in slums, lived in a 1-bedroom flat that she paid for entirely with her own name on the lease. And every month, she wired money home. On her 20th year away from Navi Basta, she returned, not as a visitor, but as a keynote speaker. As the car wound through the narrow alleyways of the shanty village where she'd grown up, Aasha rolled down the window. The smell of the waste canal hit her like memory, thick, metallic, and unforgettable. She saw children playing barefoot where she once walked, plastic bottles bobbing in the same dirty water she used to fetch with a cracked tin bowl. And for a fleeting moment, she wasn't Dr. Aasha Singh. She was just a girl again, threading through puddles, carrying dreams no one else could see. She asked the driver to pull over beside a large, weathered neem tree. Stepping out, she walked slowly toward it, heart pounding with something between reverence and grief. Her hand reached out and touched the coarse trunk, right where the words, "Dream Sweet," 401, were still faintly carved, the letters almost swallowed by bark. And there, without warning, Aasha began to cry. Not out of sorrow, but out of awe for the little girl who once stood in that same place, dreaming of a life that now existed. She spoke at an event that was held in a refurbished school. There were fans overhead now, books on shelves, girls and boys in uniforms sitting straight. A small girl raised her hand. "Dee," she asked, "how long did it take to change your life?" Aasha smiled. Not the kind of smile you give when you've won, but the kind you give when you've survived. "I thought it would take 5 or 10 years, she said, "but it took 20, maybe more." The girl blinked. "That's a long time." "Yes," Aasha said. "But it's worth it, because when you build something that lasts, you're not just changing your life. You're changing the lives of everyone that comes after you." And as the crowd clapped, she heard something unexpected. Her name, Aasha, loud, echoing from the mouths of children who now believed that freedom was not a myth, but a possibility.